everyone to beautiful Portugal, our little winter escape for the holidays. And I'm lucky enough to test the Fujifilm X-H2 on this trip. And I've chosen the X-H2 mainly because I wanted to find out if the 40 megapixel resolution is kind of, for me, how older lenses are handling with it, and especially if noise is going to be any problem. So I'm gonna give you a few of my findings and mainly some interesting experiences about first generation Fujifilm glass as well. So it's not going to be a complete fluent talk, so it's just a few short quick-fire findings, and I hope you enjoy this. Leave me a thumbs up if you like this, and So maybe you'll find yourself in the situation that you have first generation Fujifilm glass, and you are unsure, will I have any increase in quality with old glass? And maybe you are hesitant because you don't want to buy a new body and then maybe get a whole range of new Fujifilm glass, like for instance if you have the 16-1.4, a new one isn't out yet. If you have the 23, maybe the 35 and the 56 first generation lenses. And I can tell you this, it's really not that bad because I tried the 35 1.4, the first one. Here it's on my X-H1, and when I switched the 35 1.4 between the X-H2, which is filming me right now, and the X-H1, I could see a dramatic increase in focus speed, for instance. Essentially taking the 35 1.4 on the X-H2, it's like the lens is getting a second spring, so to speak, because the autofocus of course still is very loud. It's no linear motor like in the 23 f2, which is mounted on the X-H2 at this moment. It's still very noisy, so it's not really suited for video work, for instance. But if stills is your thing and you are maybe looking into an X-T5 or maybe even an X-H2, I wouldn't worry about buying a new camera body, because when you have old lenses, if you need a silent lens to take some videos, you can go for an 18-55, maybe such a small f2 lens, and you're good to go. But for the stills work, when wide open apertures are very important, the first generation X-Series lenses are going to perform very well with the new bodies, hands down. Another interesting thing is, if you maybe are on the market to buy a very fast prime, and the newer lenses are, hands down, they are very expensive in comparison to buying 1.8 lens on another system, for instance. You can get very, very good deals for the 35 1.4, for the 23 millimeter 1.4. I've seen them as cheap as 350 euros, maybe, if they have, little scratches on the lens barrel, but the glass is okay. So what the fuck? It doesn't matter. It's a tool after all, and I wouldn't worry about getting an old lens with a new body. There's just no problem. So one thing I was very not actually worried, but maybe concerned, was getting let's say miserable ISO performance from the new sensor because of the high resolution. And let's face it, if you are comparing the APS-C sensors compared to a full frame sensor, pixels are smaller, so they are gathering less light, and that can make an issue when it comes to ISO performance. So what I experienced is that the camera files are getting a bit noisier than they are with the X-H2, for instance. But on the other hand, there is, because of the higher megapixel count, if you not zoom in like 100 or 200%, but just look at the image like, any other person will look at it like, just the normal full screen view. The image is sometimes actually looking better because of the high megapixel count. You get much higher detail in the image still. So the only problem I encountered sometimes that in higher ISOs, some pictures would not look good or look a bit muddy, like in ISO 1200. And I think this is because the camera is a little bit more confident with the IBIS than it actually is sometimes. So it's camera shake. So just make sure that your minimum shutter speed is fast enough so that the IBIS is not going too far. Like for instance, I don't know, with the 35mm on the APS-C sensor, try having it at least, I don't know, 50th of a second or something. And that's maybe even the IBIS can still have a few stops less, but just try to have the shutter speed as fast as possible, and you should be fine. So concerning ISO, if you don't mind a little bit, grain, so to speak, because it feels a little bit like looking at an analog image with a little bit of grain, I think you'll be fine. I looked at a lot of images that are higher ISO, like ISO 3200 or 6400, and to me they looked really okay, very usable even for print. So of course you'll not get the same performance like from a bigger format sensor in comparison, but I think the images are still very, very usable. So, quick interruption here. I figured it's easier to pull into Capture One and have a look at some pictures so that you can visualize what I'm talking about. Here is a picture of me, happy chappy, New Year's Eve dinner. And when we look at the t-shirt here, we can see there is plenty of detail from the X-H2 on the shirt. Not a lot of color noise. If we check the out of focus area, there you can see a little bit more color noise, but it's nice and grainy in my opinion. If we look at the face, there is still a lot of skin detail, a lot of texture here. So right there, not too bad. Again, we're pixel peeping here, big time in my opinion. So if we just look at the full screen view of the image, there's a nice color detail, so nothing to worry about. Of course, if you like a super clean image, it's nothing bad about that. Just to give you my personal opinion, I think this is, it's a good quality picture. And if you consider that a lot of commercial photographers these days actually add camera shake and grain to emulate film camera feel, because some pictures, some cameras have just gotten too perfect and too, plasticky looking, if you know what I mean. I'm missing a word here, but just artificial and too perfect. And just to give you an idea, this picture is the 23 f2. And no, that's the 3514, I'm sorry. This is the 23 f2, and we are at ISO 2000 f2.2. And the other picture right here, that's the ISO 1250 3514, and also here first generation glass, a lot of detail still, also in the face, a little bit of grain. And if we look at this picture, it's also the 23 f2. A lot of detail here, and also in the reflection on the concrete. And if we zoom in to 100%, you can see a little bit of color grain here in the shadow areas. It's quite clean here in the highlights, and yeah, a lot of detail you can see here. You can even read here Polish Airlines. And if we zoom out, it's like you can tell it's really far away. So we can still like zoom in, and I can even read here SP something. So 267 right here. Check this out. And if we zoom out, you can't even tell. Look, this little speck right here. It's crazy. 267, nice and clean. Yeah. So again, to sum it up, if you are in the market for fast prime and you don't mind, you're not really interested into video, you can absolutely go for first generation Fujifilm primes with a new camera like an X-T5, X-H2, and who knows what's coming later down the line, X Pro 4, XE5, whatnot. So don't hesitate. If you are coming from an X-H1, X-T2, and your upgrade is overdue, don't worry about the body. That's gonna increase the performance of your old lenses, and you will still get higher resolution images. You won't get the full 40 megapixel detail. Maybe this is just off the back of my memory. I heard somebody talk that it's maybe 30, 32 megapixels what those old lenses can resolve, but that's just I don't have any proof to that. I just have it off the back of my head. I heard it somewhere. So yeah. See you hopefully in another video sometime. Bye.